Featherweight 10-round main events. You know, 7 knockouts. Steve, take us behind the numbers.
Well, Lamont Peterson wins over losers. For a top-shelf amateur, Peterson has been moved quite carefully as a pro. In fact, his first 11 opponents had losing records. A tough 10. In his most recent start against Jose Moreno, Peterson went 10 rounds for the first time. It was also his toughest fight to date. That is a significant step. And no vacations. Like brother Anthony, Lamont's been very busy. Compare his schedule to Rock Allen, who beat him out for a spot on the 2004 U.S. Olympic team. Allen's fought 6 times, Peterson 16 times.
25-year-old Mario Ramos was born and raised in Phoenix. He won multiple Arizona Golden Gloves championships and beat Rocky Juarez in the amateurs. Ramos turned pro in 1999, but didn't fight at all in 03 and 04. He had won 11 straight before dropping a 12-round decision to Demetrius Hopkins last month. He's a southpaw who likes to come forward and will need to keep the pressure on Peterson tonight. Mario Ramos, 16, 2-1, 3 KOs. Steve, what's behind those numbers?
Well, real comp. Ramos has been in with a much better grade of opposition than Peterson. He beat fringe contender Cosme Rivera, but was shut out by Hopkins. Back to work. After a 3-year layoff, Ramos has been very busy. This will be his 6th fight in the 9 months since his return. And the lefty factor. Ramos is a southpaw, and in 16 fights to date, Peterson has faced 3 lefties. No problem for Lamont Peterson.
Lamont Peterson looking to take the next step now in his ShoBox debut, risking his perfect record against the more seasoned Mario Ramos. It's our 10-round junior welterweight main event. So let's go back to ring announcer J.D. Lyons.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome you to the Four Bears Casino and Lodge here in Newtown, North Dakota for ShoBox and the new generation. Brought to you tonight by Prize Fight Boxing in association with Dakota Storm and, of course, Showtime. Now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing your 3 judges assigned to the bout at ringside, Mark Fox, Dennis Nelson, and Tucker Pudwill. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing your referee, the man in charge after the sound of the bell, world-class referee, Mr. Bill Clancy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the ShoBox main event of the evening. Scheduled for 10 rounds of action, this in the junior welterweight division. Presenting first, the fighter in the blue corner, wearing red trunks and weighing in at a tough 142 pounds. He enters the ring tonight representing his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. His record as a professional, 16 victories, only 2 defeats with 1 draw. He has 3 big KOs on his record. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the baby-faced assassin, Mario Ramos. His opponent tonight, fighting out of the red corner, wearing silver trunks and weighing in at an always tough 141 pounds. He enters the ring tonight representing his hometown of Washington, D.C., and now fighting out of Memphis, Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the undefeated at 16 victories, no defeats. He has 7 big wins coming by way of knockouts. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Lamont Peterson. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, your referee, Bill Clancy, to give the fighters their final instructions.
All right, gentlemen, we went through the rules in the back. We're scheduled for 10 rounds. I expect a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times, and gentlemen, you must obey my commands. Let me caution you once again. I will not tolerate rabbit punching or kidney punching. Any questions, Marco? Lamont? No, sir. Touch gloves, gentlemen. Good luck. God bless.
Like little brother Anthony in the first fight, Lamont with a huge reach advantage over his opponent. 74 inches, that's more the reach of a middleweight than a junior welter.
Once again, North Dakota state rules in effect here, and they include that 3 knockdown rule and the standing 8 count. You don't see it often. We saw it already in the first bout. We're ready for our second. In from North Carolina, the referee is Bill Clancy. He gets him going now. Lamont Peterson in the silver, and in the red, the southpaw, Mario Ramos. And Steve, Ramos admits that he was never in that fight against Demetrius Hopkins, and he's really got to take some chances and put the pressure on a Lamont Peterson who, while he's got everything, maybe doesn't have the feared punching power of his brother.
Exactly, Nick. And Lamont is, they describe him as the analytical of the two, where Anthony is more emotional. And you saw that in the first fight. Anthony came out guns blazing.
Gee, why is Ramos's gloves, they're so low, his hands? He get popped by a jab. And let's see, again, interestingly, as we go through this endless, not argument, but discussion about southpaws. Nice left from Lamont, and now he backs off.
Watch the elbow.
In terms of experience, Ramos, 5 years before Peterson turned pro, Ramos was, he's only 25 years old, though. He's pretty young.
Ramos doing the right thing right now by moving to his right. He's the southpaw. Now he's leaning back, looking for openings, and a little straight right hand. Nice strategy by Peterson as a lead punch against the lefty.
And one of the reasons Ramos, who turned pro in '99, he did go over 2 years without any fights.
Peterson backing off, just trying to see what Ramos has. Well, they both want to do that. Feel the power from the other guy, see how they move. So it's a cautious first round here in North Dakota. Yeah, nothing coming back from Peterson, so Ramos obliges with a 3-punch combination.
Hey, you see what little experience he'll do for you. When Peterson covered up, Ramos hit him 3 times and stepped back. In our first fight, White just kept punching.
Good point.
No.
Peterson electing not to tie out Ramos, and Ramos getting off here and on the verge of stealing this round with a minute to go.
And he's tried harder this fight than he did in the entire Demetrius Hopkins fight.
Ramos trying to slip punches, but getting clocked there as Peterson just kept punching. So a nice counter right hand from Lamont Peterson. Now Peterson giving some looks, some feints from the outside. Now the combinations begin to flow from Peterson.
Well, Peterson doesn't have a lot to work with right now because you see Ramos is not just charging in. He's studying his man a little bit himself.
Keep up, keep
low
up,
blow.
keep up. Keep him up. Thoughts?
Certainly nothing intentional there. Ramos took that partially on the shoulders, arms, and gloves. So good right hand there from Lamont Peterson as we near the end of this first round.
10 seconds.
Nice flurry there just before the bell as Lamont Peterson backs up Mario Ramos. They both talk strategy, the left-hander first.
Well, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna try to get busy, see what I could, what weak spots I could find them on, and go from there.
Fighting southpaws is easy. Of course, I think I'm gonna throw a little bit more right hands, put a little bit more right hands in the combinations. I'm still gonna let my jab go. A lot of people say that the jab is hard to get off on the southpaw, but I think if you just keep throwing it, you know, eventually he's going to stop because it's going to be awkward for him. And if I keep throwing mine, eventually I'm going to start landing.
Go back to the jab, okay? You got me? It's a stick, man. Just keep him going to your left now.
I love this guy talking about really using the jab against the lefty. My kind of fighter, Steve.
His reasoning certainly makes sense.
Absolutely.
Box.
He did shorten up with that right hand and use it as a lead punch. And now we see any kind of height advantage. Well, they're even in height, but being totally given away. And now they're locking feet.
Yeah, that's common. And of course, Peterson, the right-handed fighter, wants to keep his lead foot, his left foot, outside of Ramos's lead foot.
Exactly.
That's all about angles, punching angles.
Peterson very cautious, showing a lot of shoulder here, but his left hand is down. He jabs and then tries to slip a punch, but Ramos at least followed up But one criticism I have of Ramos, he's not punching with Peterson. He's letting him beat him to the punch unnecessarily. Peterson is faster, though, but at least try to maybe punch with him. Now, good effort from Ramos. Not a lot behind those shots, though.
You're not going to see, textbook short shots from Ramos. He's more of a brawler. He's also a natural right-hander. So his right hook, bigger punch, bigger threat than his left hand.
Why does he only have 3 knockouts? Leverage?
Yeah, leverage, and you know what? Maybe he should be fighting lighter. You see a little bit of flesh around the midsection. Maybe he should be a lightweight.
That's a good point. These are junior welters. Ramos had won 11 straight before never really getting into the fight. His last one against Demetrius Hopkins and dropping a 12-round decision. Now Ramos backing off a little bit. But Peterson fighting very much in control. Not apprehensive, not cautious, but just in control.
In one sense, Ramos' kind of laying back strategy makes sense, because if he's going to be a threat in this fight, he's going to have to do the second half of the fight.
Well, that was an unnecessary thing for Peterson to do. I thought, why just take that combination? Not that he got hit really flush, but he's got to stay busy. It looked like his corner, Barry Hunter, was indicating that after the first round. Roundhouse left hand from Ramos. Oh, he gets clocked by a left hook. And now Peterson cranks it up as he felt he hit his man flush for the first time. There's that double left hook, body and head. And back comes Ramos with convincing shots, hooks of his own.
Well,
so they trade power shots, Dave.
Peterson covering up, inviting shots so he can counter. The difference from the first fight, when Ramos lets go, he takes a step, punch, take a step to the side. He's not there for Peterson to counter.
See, Peterson's the faster guy, but I don't like the way he's got his hands low.
Letting his hands low, I don't like, and I'm not big on the covering up. Instead of slipping punches, just blocking them.
Well, there he turns on the right hand. And here, good infighting from Ramos as he waits, counters, and pushes Peterson, forcing him to restart. Peterson tries to dial in the jab.
10 seconds.
Crowd wants even more action, but good exchange there, and Peterson got the best of it as we close out the second here in North Dakota.
Deep breath, blow it out. One more. All right. Instead of me telling you what I like, I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Squaring up too much, pulling back, and you got to turn your knuckles on that hook. All right? Now, I know it feels kind of funny, but you got to keep placing that jab, Carl. Have confidence in it. Keep using it, all right? There's nothing wrong, but we need to correct these little mistakes right now. Keep putting the jab. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Pick it up a little bit. Use more angles. Keep them off balance.
Advice from both sides. Really, basically, both don't be squared up. As Walt Hoskins told Mario Ramos, use more angles, pick it up a little bit. And Barry Hunter wants that jab to stay in effect be effective for Lamont Peterson. Doesn't want him to pull straight back and not square up.
Yeah, the squaring up, there's no reason for that. He puts his gloves high and he lets the other guy punch, and it negates his jab. And if Ramos is smart, he can just score and then move and not get countered.
Ramos there not handling the speed and letting Peterson dictate, and he gets clocked as a result. But Peterson fighting in different ways, electing at times there to drop his left hand, but they're now firing the jabs. Moving to his right by his own volition is Peterson, moving into the southpaw's power, but he's tasted his best punches, it seems, Steve, and it doesn't look like Ramos could really crack.
And remember, by moving to his right, Peterson isn't moving into Ramos's power, because Ramos's power is his right hook, not his left hand.
Good point. And power being a relative thing, and in his case, doesn't look like he has it to roll over Lamont Peterson. Peterson very quick there. Caught him with that last shot, that little left hook. Open target there for Ramos, but he was as wide open as could be himself, coming in, punching wide.
You know what, though, Nick? Ramos needs to apply some pressure, because if he's going to make it a fight in the second half and really turn it on, well, he's got to tire Peterson out a little bit now.
Good point, Steve. You want to take his legs away. I haven't seen enough body punches there. He tried. Effective with that right hook to the body. Crowd picking it up, getting into it. That was a left hand from Ramos. So Ramos happy to trade. And Peterson happy to cover up at times and not be busy enough. Man, he's got such terrific hand speed. He certainly shouldn't be out hustled.
He's got quick hands and quick feet, and when he squares up and waits for his opponent to punch at him, he's really negating his advantages. You know, he's used the same tactic as his brother with a counter left hook. The difference is when he lands it, not that much happens. Now, part of that is, you know, Ramos has taken a good shot. He's never been down, but he doesn't have the power of Anthony, and it's all about, really, it's mostly about leverage.
Steve, every time I see Peterson really let his hands go, Ramos can't handle that kind of speed. I do like the fact that he tries to follow up and just maybe get Peterson on the second or third counter try. But again, I think you hit on it, Steve. Peterson's just not content to punch, move, get out, reset, and do it again and dictate that way. He'll cover up at times and often not be busy enough. How do you have it through 3?
3-zip Peterson.
How you feel, Mario? How you good? You're doing a real good job, but you got to throw more punches. You're doing a good job. You got to use the angles on this guy. When you throw your combination, step right over on him and come right back. When he leans back, forget his head. Work that body hard, man.
Action from round 3. Now they're trading here, and Peterson's hands are rather low. That's why he got hit with that left hand, but still he wins the exchange because he's throwing in combination. More shots from Peterson, faster hands, and better textbook shots. There's the kind of punch his brother looked so spectacular throwing in the first fight, that left hook. Not the same effect. Is it intent or is it technique? I think a little of both that makes Lamont not quite the puncher Anthony is.
Get it down.
We hit the 4th here in Newtown, North Dakota. A Friday night of showbox, back-to-back showboxes. We'll be back next week from Oklahoma. But this is our main event. Lamont Peterson undefeated in the silver as you see it, in the red. Mario Ramos, the southpaw, just pawing with that jab, sort of flicking, maybe blocking, but not initiating the play. He just can't match Peterson's hand speed. But I'm still waiting to see Peterson really get those hands flying. Ran into a punch there. Walt Hoskins wants Ramos to go to the body more, and again, clear signal. Make this guy take his legs away a little bit. It's a good ticket. Ramos occasionally has gone low. Short with that jab, it's just looping and not really stuffing it, is he? Boy, Peterson didn't cover up there for a minute. His chin, I thought, was a little dangerously hung out. Yeah, he's gotten hit. I mean, he's gotten hit. And you know what? He said that no problem fighting the southpaw. I think Ramos being a southpaw is affecting him a little bit. His jab has not been dominant at all. You don't see that kind of flow and rhythm, do you? No. We've seen before. But that said, you got him up 3-zip. Yeah, second round close. Yeah, second round close. First and third, I thought Peterson clearly won. Yeah, I could have given the second to Ramos. Just for sake of argument, I will. There you go. Boy, Ramos just not really, again, not drilling that jab. And that's a mistake. And there he's waiting too long. A little short right hand from Peterson clocked him. It was a right hand lead, and one of the reasons that's going to be an effective punch is because Peterson is not ignoring his jab. So when the right lead comes instead of a jab, Ramos isn't expecting it, looking for it. Right. There's the combinations from Peterson. Hitting behind the head there. Boy, Ramos looking very awkward. Doing exactly what his trainer doesn't want him to do, square up. And not using his jab enough there, just waiting, and getting hit, and now having to reset and try to do something. Waiting again as Peterson is happy to make the play. Not busy enough, Ramos. It's pretty simple, right? Exactly. In some ways, his stay back approach is working. It's negating some of Peterson's strengths, but
He's not winning the fight doing it.
Steve, if you don't have the speed, then, you know, we could talk about the quote-unquote smart aggression all you want. You don't have the speed, and arguably you may not have the punch. Ramos, with 3 knockouts, indicate he's not a crushing puncher. What do you do?
Get rough. You know, get rough. Get inside. Make him uncomfortable. Take away his leg speed.
Better jabs that round, but we're still making it hard because we move when we don't have to move. Several times in this fight, you done set this man up with the right hand, but you won't pull the trigger. All right? Slow the game down, son. Keep touching with your jab, touching with your jab. Again, I say, step over to your right hand. Straight right hand, 2. 1 down, 1 up. Then go back to the jab again. All right? The jab's starting to bother him a little bit, okay? Just keep it on. Okay? When you get inside, shorten your legs up because the leg spread is far too wide, all right? Look for 2 from this side. Right body, right over the top. All right? And then come back with the left body, left over the top. All right? Come on, baby. Go good. I got to need more. All right?
Unbeaten Lamont Peterson, looking poised, unmarked, really hasn't been hit much.
A lot of good advice from Barry Hunter. Maybe a little bit too much advice, though. Usually fighters can only remember 1 or 2 things in the 60 seconds, but everything he said really was solid.
I'm with you. Ramos got to start changing up a little bit and putting the pressure on. He's losing the fight. He's got to know he's losing the fight. He's holding his own at times. Round or 2 arguably close. Good right hands there from Peterson as he catches Ramos leaning. And now Peterson flicks the jab out. He's got the reach advantage by 6 inches, and he should use it. And now he's using his foot speed and wisely tying up Ramos.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that 6-inch reach advantage for Peterson, because that's just another reason for Ramos to maybe get down and dirty a little bit and crowd his man.
Boy, Peterson just waiting to time those rushes with the right hand.
That was a big left hook by Peterson, his best punch so far.
And that overhand, that right cross. Follow-up, but Ramos keeps coming. Finally tries to elude something. Walks into a left hand there. So Peterson beginning to dictate distance and
Step back on break.
use that jab more. And really controlling this fight. Hey, Ramos not wanting to initiate something, and Peterson fighting what he wants.
Work out of there. Watch your head.
That's what Ramos needs to do.
No punch, step back. Step back.
Wasn't much on those.
But if he's got his man on the ropes, go to work.
There we go.
Make it uncomfortable for him, if nothing else.
Peterson has not been taken out of his comfort zone this entire fight. Ramos can't match the hand speed. And his punching power not powerful enough to drive Peterson back. Trying to chase him down now in vain. And now they slug in the middle of the ring, and Peterson unloads with a quick combination.
Hold him down.
They punch together, and Peterson got the best of it, digging that left hook to the body. There's the jab again as Ramos is doing nothing. Ramos opening up with that lead left and a lazy right hand behind him.
And long shots with no leverage.
Approaching the halfway mark of this fight. Lamont Peterson gets a little momentum off the ropes and fires a right hand lead. Didn't catch Ramos flush. And we'll watch the 5th wind down here in Newtown, North Dakota on Showbox.
Next Saturday is America's Fight Night on Showtime. An explosive matchup headlines the card when WBA super welterweight champion Alejandro Garcia makes the first defense of his title against rugged Jose Rivera. The May 6th doubleheader begins at 9 Eastern and Pacific. Before and during the telecast, you can ask Showtime Championship boxing expert Al Bernstein a question about boxing or the night's featured fights. Log on to askal.sho.com and Al just may answer you live on the air. And to celebrate our 20 years in boxing, we'll invite you every month to vote on a new category of memorable moments. This month, the subject is Best Knockout Artist on Showtime, and the winner will be announced during the May 6th broadcast. All this and more on show.com. Second half of the fight here, 6 scheduled for 10. Unbeaten Lamont Peterson from Washington, D.C., and from Phoenix, Mario Ramos, the left-hander. He's got to win some rounds here. He is falling behind, but Peterson able to fight in spurts. Now giving away that height or any kind of reach completely. I don't see the strategy here. He's just looking for counter shots, Peterson.
Well, Ramos just isn't falling for that move that Peterson is trying, covering up, trying to get a wide lead so he can counterpunch.
Ramos again with the arm shots. You say it again and again, but it's apparent, and now it's even more evident why he has 3 KOs in 19 fights.
At the top, I talked about Peterson showing the discipline to box his way for 10 rounds. Now we're in the second half of the fight. I don't want to see too much of that covering up stuff. It doesn't work for him. It negates his strengths.
I'm with you, Steve.
And he's doing it now.
I'm starting to get critical of Peterson in that he's so much faster than Ramos, and it's so apparent that Ramos can't handle his kind of speed. And I don't see Peterson trying to exploit that edge at all. Fighting maybe in spurts,
yeah,
when he should really let it go.
And Ramos is leaning back a little bit. Peterson hasn't had the success he would have against an orthodox fighter with his jab.
Peterson looking, I wouldn't say listless, but a little flat.
Not a lot of oomph on his shots, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially compared to his brother Anthony.
No, he hasn't dazzled so far in this main event.
Work out of there.
And that's, you know, criticizing perfection. And here's a guy with a perfect record. I don't want to get overly critical, but I don't see Ramos doing anything to really cause him any kind of issues.
Hands are free. Work out. Work out of there. Quit holding him. Quit holding him.
Virtually none of this fight has been fought on the inside. That makes it awful tough for Ramos.
Well, as you indicated, Steve, Ramos would be better served getting there and staying there, but he doesn't. He seems reluctant to want to do that, and Peterson doesn't have to.
Yeah, if anything, Peterson's been the one more willing to exchange, trade, and get physical.
Yeah. Peterson a little squared up there, but Ramos elects to hang on. I don't know if he's gassed, his mouth isn't open or anything, but I don't see Ramos doing much at all. His hands are down, now he's backpedaling. But he looks wide open.
10 seconds, fellas, 10 seconds. Get out of there. Quick, go back, step out, step out. Box and finish. Ah, that's it.
Coming up. 3 rounds to go. You're doing great. You're looking good. You're going to take this guy, and we got to pick him up. How you feeling? Feeling good. You've got 6 months. Huh? Yeah. You got to do it harder. Bigger, harder. Double that fucking right hook, man. Back to the left hand. Okay? No more fucking around with this guy. This is just like Cosme Rivera. But you got to use angles. And the uppercut, okay? You can do it. You see what 6 miles a day is done for you? Huh? Okay, let's go, man.
You're 4 rounds away from winning this.
7 rounds. Round 7.
You heard Ramos say he hurt me with a body shot to his trainer, Walt Hoskins, and there it was, a right hand to the belly.
Good catch there by our crew and by you, Steve, and finally a wake-up call from Walt Hoskins. Quit effing around, right? I get the message. But don't tell me I'm doing great either.
Yeah, and for the fighter to say to the trainer, he hurt me with a body shot, that's a big admission.
Yeah, he really took it out of him that last 2 minutes of that round. Ramos doing very little. Peterson walking in right now. electing to walk through any kind of fire that Ramos could put up. But it's really just a flicker. Peterson a little low on a belt line with that hook, but away from the referee. Impossible to really for him to see.
I talked at the top about Peterson's unmistakable class in the ring. Well, you know, he's not shining tonight. He's winning. And one of the things he has to show is that when he has to change and adapt to his opponent, he can still be effective. That's what he's doing tonight, because Ramos is not coming and getting him. He has to go and get his man. That's not really his natural style.
Give me a break, give me a break, give me a break. Let him out clean, clean. Step back. Box.
He's a boxer, and he's always going to be better if his opponent comes to him, Nick.
Well, and Ramos talked the game about having to pressure him. It is not happening here. Nonetheless, Steve, I really feel that, once again, Peterson should pick it up.
No, hold him down. Don't grab him, Mario. You're holding. Break, no punch, step back. Mario, hold him, don't hold him. Box.
Ramos would rather hold than hit. They exchange shots there. Here comes Peterson behind the jab, eluding a shot, and then he changed nicely. Beautiful change of position to be in a position to counter with that right hand to the body once and then twice. So now Peterson showing some flashes of that speed, boxing ability, but still walking his man down, which is, as Steve mentioned, uncharacteristic.
Hands are free, hands are free.
Yeah, he's doing, Nick, to Ramos in the second half of the fight what we thought Ramos would be trying to do to him.
Ramos' hands are down, waiting to be hit. And half the hand speed that Peterson possesses.
Hold him, Mario. You're holding him. Let him go.
Peterson follow-up shots land.
Clean break, step back.
He was short with the jab, but that
box.
And then the right cross, and then the follow-up left. A glancing blow anyway as we close out the seventh here.
You know, Nick, the Peterson brothers, there's a long line in boxing history of successful brother combinations. Now, these kids have a long way to go. We saw Anthony win in the first fight. Believe it or not, there are 19 combinations of brothers who have won at least versions of the world title. Now, you see only 9 of them here. Too many to list all of them, but some of these names, I mean,
notable names.
Yeah, well, Leon and Michael Spinks, for instance, both gold medal winners and world heavyweight champions. Incredible. The Galaxy brothers, they're unique because they are twins. And, of course, Terry and Orland Norris. I mean, all these names are familiar. These are the recent ones. Vlad and Vitaly Klitschko also both winning a version of the heavyweight title.
The Marquez brothers, entirely different fighters as well, huh?
Yeah, very different in styles, exactly. And that's sort of like the Petersons.
Right. So it's interesting boxing history there, and pulling it into the present here. We're in Newtown, North Dakota, the first of back-to-back Friday nights of Showbox. In our opener, it was Anthony Peterson taking care of unbeaten Jermaine White, stopping him in 3. 2 official knockdowns in that fight, none here. Mario Ramos falling hopelessly behind in the red.
And Nick, if any of the viewers are wondering, yes, the brothers do spar with each other. And you know, as anybody who's ever had a brother knows,
let's go.
In terms of competitiveness, they work harder against each other, trying to kick each other's butts, than they do against anybody else.
Good point. And the other thing, Barry Hunter, being in D.C., they've been with Too Sharp Johnson. They fought up and down. They've even been in with William Joppy. So Chambe Mitchell, so they've seen a lot.
You're pulling him down, you're pulling him down. Don't pull him down. All right, let's go.
Both have sparred extensively with Zab Judah when Judah was preparing for Mayweather.
Triple jab, unanswered.
Well, I don't think we're going to get answers about Lamont Peterson's toughness necessarily in this fight, but we are seeing a good performance in the second half, diversity of attack, and enough discipline and stamina to do what he needs to do in the second half of a fight. Yeah. That's something he hasn't really been pushed to show yet in his career.
Yeah, it's a small step, but again, Ramos just not enough of a challenge here. Not enough of a threat. And there's that combination as
to the body.
Peterson fires away beautifully. Right hand, left hook. Slowly taking the fight out of Mario Ramos as he turns on an overhand right, does Peterson. Ramos trying the same thing. And there he connected 4 little taps in a row, but at least he connected, so that a little bit of a spurt of offense from Ramos.
And Nick, is it fair at this point? I mean, this is the first time the Petersons have been on the same televised card. They've both been on television before. But as you watch Lamont dominate but not hurt his man, you have to ask, is Anthony going to be the easier sell in the long run because he's so much more aggressive and has that big left hook?
Well, we'll see, you know, with 3 more rounds to go. If this fight continues in this pattern, I would say, is based on what we've seen, yes. Good right hands there from Peterson. The openings are all over the place. And Peterson with his left hand low when he's looking to fire that straight right lead.
No. Don't do that. Touch him up. Don't do that. Touch him. Don't do that stuff. All right.
Well, this is Peterson's best round, and one of the reasons is because he's concentrated early in the round, a lot on the body. That opened things up.
There it is, that left hand as he tries to really turn on that punch before the bell.
It was all them rounds to do that, man. Put your mind on what you're doing, man. All you got to do is keep walking this man down. Keep putting the hands on him, Carl. Get the body. If you notice every time you get there, the man stop punching. Let him throw that slow crap. Get ready to rock on and come back with your straight right hand left hook. Now, you keep telling me, okay, but you're not giving it to me. Then come on. Come on, man. You put him
Action from round 8, certainly Peterson's best. Look how wide those shots are. Reaching. Hands down. Not very difficult for Peterson to get out of the way. Be better if he planted his feet and counterpunched, but can't do that every time.
Barry Hunter with a impassioned talk to his fighter. Wants more. And I don't blame him. And now we see Lamont and Silver picking it up quite a bit.
Give me a break. Step back clean. Mark.
Oh, nice right hand from Peterson. He elects not to follow up, but it seemed to snap Ramos's head back, and it's got him backing up again. There, Ramos at least trying to trade. Even if he got beat to the punch, at least trying to follow there. So Ramos fighting with some renewed intensity here.
All right, clean break. Stop. Watch your head, Mario. Watch your head.
Obviously, it's inevitable that you compare Anthony and Lamont Peterson to each other, but it's also somewhat inevitable that we compare Lamont to Demetrius Hopkins, because Hopkins in his last fight, over 12 rounds, beat Ramos.
Ramos talked about a dehydration problem. He was the lightest of his career. Those were his excuses.
Yeah, he was lighter for that fight. And you know, in fairness, Demetrius Hopkins had a lot more fights than Lamont Peterson, and he's further along. Hopkins dominated Ramos, never put him down, never really badly hurt him. In that sense, this fight isn't all that different from that one.
There, Ramos taking the lead and landing. Not a lot on it, but Peterson's hands are low again. Now he covers up and counters with a nice left to the body. Infighting from Peterson. Tap back from Ramos.
Step back. Box. Watch your heads, fellas. Watch your heads.
Peterson feeling he could get reckless. He squared up in front of Ramos.
Well, Peterson, you could see that Ramos wanted to take Peterson deep. Ramos has been there. Peterson hasn't. Be careful of what you wish for.
Box.
See if Ramos is making it easy for Peterson. Peterson hasn't had to really penetrate and take away Ramos's jab, because Ramos isn't showing that he has one.
Well, to use the word class again, you know, as the fight progresses and both fighters tire a little bit, you see Ramos's lack of technique. His hands are down, he's lunging, his shots are wide, where Peterson has the technique and maintains it for all 10 rounds.
Good point. And from the films I saw on Ramos, I thought that he did have at least solid technique, that he wasn't a big puncher, and that he wasn't as fast as Peterson, but that he was solid technically. But I'm not seeing it tonight, and Peterson may be slowly taking him apart.
10 seconds, finish clean.
Fight with distance written all over it as we get ready for the 10th and final round. That's a must-win for Ramos.
Mario, this is the biggest fucking round of your life now. You understand me? You understand me? This is it, man. You want to beat anything, you got.
Hey. Listen, you got to close this thing out. You understand me? You got to close it out. I asked you 1,000 times a day about...
Last round, touch him up, finish clean. Good luck.
Get it, Lamont.
Win this round, will be close again. Okay, you got to work. You got to throw. You can't be close if you're not fucking throwing any punches. And you haven't the last...
Down this last round, baby. Come on. Let's be impressive. This round.
Biggest round of your life, you can pull it out. But you got to do it.
A man time.
Let's have a clean one. Let's box.
Will things be different? Let's watch. Good return fire from Ramos, his best punch of the night, maybe. And that seems to rile Lamont Peterson.
Clean,
Peterson hit him with a left hook there, Nick, and it was about as hard as you could hit a guy. Nothing happened. Just doesn't have his brother's natural power.
Boy, I think the crowd's lit a fire in both these guys.
Step out of there. Step out. Step out. Step out. Box.
Interesting also that Barry Hunter wants Lamont to close the show. It's as if he's looking at the fighter's reputation, not just winning and losing tonight. He knows this guy's going to win the fight, but he wants his fighter to be sellable, marketable. He wants fans to want to see him again. A knockout in the 10th round here would help that cause.
Oh, yeah, it's a question we always ask here on Showbox. What do they do to make us want to see him again? And Peterson's certainly doing enough to sweep this fight. But dynamically, no.
Clean. Watch your heads, watch your heads.
But Steve, you made the points going in terms of class. There's no doubt about it. He's got fundamentals, he's got all the punches.
No. Step back.
And it's another 10-rounder in the bank for Lamont Peterson. So many prospects just don't get that 10-rounder in the bank, one after the other after the other. It really pays dividends later on. And in that sense, this is a very valuable experience for him, only the second time he's had it.
Excellent point. Ramos trying to sit down, gets clocked as he waits.
Trying a little too hard now.
Peterson getting a little reckless there with the left hand. Straight right, he gets hit with a baby right. Counter from Ramos.
No punch. Step back, gentlemen.
Under a minute to go in this fight.
No. Clean. Watch your heads. Watch your heads.
You see Peterson bouncing a little bit now. Actually, coming into this fight, I thought one of his biggest strengths was his foot speed. And he hasn't shown it, hasn't had to show it because Ramos hasn't attacked really throughout the fight.
Step back, watch it. Box.
Ramos doing what people wanted to see 4 or 5 rounds ago. Boy, look at the crowd getting on Ramos, who's on the ropes, declaring victory. Wow. Gee.
Well, you know what? Ramos is unfortunately for him, the crowd, none of them are licensed judges.
This was clear, wasn't it? Clean sailing for Lamont Peterson, it would seem.
Well, I have a shutout. Maybe you want to give Ramos one. If you're merciful, you give him 2 rounds, but that's maximum.
We won, baby. Mario Ramos. Phoenix, baby. All my fans out there.
All right, as we await the decision, they're going to do it one more time. Jose Luis Castillo and Diego Corrales. The rubber match comes your way on Showtime Championship Boxing. You remember the first fight of the year in 2005. It was monumental. Corrales looked hopelessly out of it. Beaten, he came back to stop Castillo for the first time in Jose Luis Castillo's career. Castillo comes back controversially, winning the second fight, failing to make weight at 135, but taking out Corrales in 4. How much can they possibly have left for the third one? We will see as they go at it for the third time in basically a year. Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo live on Showtime Championship Boxing, coming your way once again from Las Vegas in June.
Good fight, man. Good fight.
And official word coming soon from our man in the middle of the ring, J.D. Lyon.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I get the scores, let's have a nice round of applause for both of these young men tonight in our Showbox main events. After 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. Judge Mark Fox scored the bout 93-99. Judge Denny Nelson and Judge Tucker Hudwell all scored the bout 90-100. All 3 for your winner by unanimous decision and still undefeated, Lamont Peterson.